Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Society. My name is Kelly Crocker and I'm one of the ministers here. Today I'm joined by my colleague, the Reverend Kelly Asbruth Jackson, and the worship team of Drew Collins, Linda Warren, Daniel Carnes, and Stephen Gregorius. A very special thank you to our society choir for being with us this morning. We are also very grateful for the members of First Unitarian Society who are joining us today to share their belief statements with us. Claire Box, Emily Smith, Marilee Wortlake, and Nancy Kossoff. Every year, our coming-of-age youth deliver their belief statements after a year of study and reflection. That service happened yesterday here at our 4:30 service. In keeping with the theme, we asked members to share with us what it is they believe. And we are grateful for the 4 who answered our call and are joining us today. The vision of First Unitarian Society is growing souls, connecting with one another, and embodying our Unitarian Universalist values in our lives, in our community, and in our world. If you're visiting us today, welcome. We're so very glad that you are with us. If you would like more information about First Unitarian, please stop by the welcome table located in the Commons through the doors to your right next to the elevator. We hope you'll be able to stay and join us for coffee hour immediately following service, also held in the Commons. And after service today, members and friends will be decorating peace poles on the lawn outside our landmark building, an annual spring tradition here at FUS on this Mother's Day weekend. A very happy Mother's Day to all of you who celebrate as well. There are still a few unspoken for polls, so if you would like to participate, there is still that opportunity available. And Kelly AJ will lead a brief blessing of the display following our 11 o'clock service. Thank you for doing that. And thank you to Roz Woodward, who spearheads these peace polls every single year. And thank you to Justin, who helps get those poles in the ground. It is truly a family effort. And if you are joining us virtually today, a very warm welcome to you as well. We're very glad that you are with us. We hope that you'll be able to watch the announcement slides after the service today to find out more about what's happening here at FUS. And now I invite you to join me in a moment of silence as we center ourselves and bring ourselves fully into this time, joining together once again in community. It is said that ministers are here to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. I say we are all afflicted and we are all comfortable.
Do not leave your cares at the door. Do not leave there your pain, your sorrow, or your joys. bring them with you into this place of acceptance and forgiveness. Place them on the common altar of life and offer them to the possibility of your worship.
May our time together this morning be a comfort and a confrontation. May we here find peace in times of tumult. May we here invite tumult into lives of peace. May we here find calm in times of restlessness. May we here allow restlessness to evolve into action.
Come then and offer yourself to potential transformation by the creative process that flows through you and all life.
Let this be the place you consider what you've never considered. Let this be the place you imagine for yourself something new and unthinkable. May this hour bring dreams of new ways of being in the world. Come, let us worship together. And we invite you now to rise in all the ways we do, joining together in our words of affirmation as we light our chalice. Fire consumes and casts a bright light. May our chalice flame consume our regrets for the past, our fears about the future, and our worries about today. May it light for us a path of joy and peace.
And now let's sing together our opening hymn, number 1051, We Are.
I would like to invite forward now anyone who would like to hear a story. You can come join me on the carpet if you'd like. Good morning. Hello. I have a story that I'd like to talk with you about today. Yeah, this story comes from ancient Greek mythology. Who here has ever heard of a minotaur? Yes, we got some hands. Great. You can tell me then, what's a minotaur?
It's like I've had it once, but I don't exactly know.
Okay, all right. We're half man, half bull. I mean, maybe like 80% man, 20% bull. It's a person that, so in the story, it's a monster, right? That's part of the premise of the story, is that the Minotaur is not really a person.
I kind of recognize that name kind of rings a bell,
It rings a bell.
but I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, here's the story. So it's a monster that's like got the body of a human being, but instead of a human being's head, it has the head of a bull with like horns and stuff.
And also the hooves of one. And also the body. But the arms are very muscular.
The arms are very muscular. Yeah, it's sort of a beefy monster. Yes.
Did you know that this can actually turn into a sweater?
Oh, that can turn into a... I didn't know that, and now I do. Thank you. So the Minotaur, right? This is an old story about this monster with the head of a bull. And in the story, the Minotaur is not a nice person, right? That's the premise of the story. I'm not telling it to you because I want you to be prejudiced against Minotaurs in general going forward, but the premise of the story is that the Minotaur is not a good guy. And he's, in fact, such a bad guy that he literally eats people. So that's like not a good thing to do. Don't do that. So that's the first part of the story, the Minotaur. Now, we have our monster. We have sort of the villain of the piece. But we need a setting, a place for the Minotaur. And in this story, the Minotaur lives in the labyrinth. You got it.
In the labyrinth.
It lives in the labyrinth.
Maze that there's no end to it.
Yes, so a labyrinth is this big maze that people get lost in if they go in. So like they go into the maze and they can't find their way out, and eventually the Minotaur finds them and eats them. That's the premise of the story. Yes?
Because I'm pretty sure that it's because the walls keep changing.
You think it's because the walls keep changing. Well, I think there are different versions of the story. I hadn't heard that one before. But the point is, whatever the case is it because it's just really big? Is it because it's really complicated? Is it because the walls keep changing? For whatever reason, people go into the labyrinth and they can't find their way out again. Yes?
Why did they even try going in?
That's a larger part of the story about, it actually involves a lot of international politics. There's some dubious stuff about whether or not kings should be in charge of governments. I'm skipping that part of the details so we can focus in on a couple of key themes. But yes, what did you want to say?
I know, guys, so how people, in the story I heard, how people get eaten by the Minotaur.
Yes.
Because the other nations send ships.
Yes.
And they carry victims, and then they're dead.
Yeah, so we're getting into the international politics here part, which is about how, like, the king of the one place where the Minotaur lived had enough power that he could force this other country to send him people to feed the Minotaur, basically. I mean, it's complicated, and really, the upshot is systems of government should be accountable to the people who govern them, and that monarchy in general is a problematic concept. No offense to people who were enjoying the coronation last weekend. Yes. Oh, we have another hand? Oh, thank you, Charlie. Yes. Yes.
So, like, the only way you could basically escape is if you have three people. One person needs to climb up each other, and then the other person needs to climb the ladder, and then they lead the other people out.
Oh, okay, so you get out of the labyrinth by like working together and climbing to the top of it?
Into the Minotaur because he could jump into it.
Oh, okay, so if you work together, you could get to the top of the wall and you could sort of see your way out. That's a very clever solution. So here's the second character in the story, right? We got the Minotaur, we got the place where the Minotaur lives, which is the labyrinth. The second character in the story is a guy named Theseus, and Theseus, his job is he's going to kill the Minotaur. Now again, solving problems with violence isn't a real good, like, real life lesson, but this is the premise of the story, that he's going to solve the problem by killing the Minotaur. But in order to do that, he's got to find the Minotaur somewhere in the labyrinth, and then he's got to get back out again. And the whole point is no one can get back. Aha, yes. This is where we're getting to our third character. So we've got the monster, the Minotaur, the hero, Theseus, he's going to kill the Minotaur, but how is he going to get in and out of the labyrinth without getting lost? And that's the third person, Ariadne. Yes?
The person I know, he uses red string.
Yes, so here is the part of the story where the string comes into play. So Ariadne understands what Theseus' role is, but knows he's going to get lost in the labyrinth if he goes in there and just tries to find his way in and then find his way out of it again. So she gives him a string. And this way, if he takes this string in with him, like plants it outside and then walks into the labyrinth, he'll be able to find his way back out again by following the string back out. So no matter how lost he gets, he'll be able to get back out again. Yes? Oh, yeah, you can do the maze by hand based on the picture, right? This is actually a really ancient picture of a labyrinth that was on a coin from the same part of the world. You figured it out? On a coin from the same part of the world where the myth takes place, where the story is set.
It's Greece.
Yes. So maybe it looked like this, or maybe it was more complicated than this. We don't know because we don't have an actual picture of the actual labyrinth. So here's the conclusion of the story, right? Is that Theseus takes Ariadne's string and her instructions, her good solution for how he's going to go into and then come back out of the labyrinth again. He does his job. He kills the Minotaur, so the Minotaur isn't going to eat any more people. And then he comes back out safely because of Ariadne's string. So, yes. So my question for you is there someone in your life who has helped you the way that Ariadne helped Theseus? Helped you to solve a problem you couldn't solve on your own, or figure out how to do something you didn't know how to do yet. Because a lot of times when we talk about these stories, we focus on the person who did the sort of the big heroic action, right? Theseus killed the Minotaur. But if it hadn't been for Ariadne, he wouldn't have been able to do that. Yes?
My mom helped me once.
Your mom helped you once.
I didn't understand how to spell something.
Yeah. I would venture to guess that a lot of us can think of moms in our lives who helped us once or more than that. Thank you so much for listening to my story, and I hope you have a wonderful time in your classes.
Shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills will break forth before you. There'll be shouts of joy, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. And all the trees of the field will clap their hands. Trees of the field will clap their hands. Trees of the field will clap their hands while you go out with joy.
And we invite you now into this time of giving and receiving, where we give freely and generously to this offering, which sustains and strengthens our community here, and also our outreach offering recipient, who was picked by our coming of age class, and is To Write Love on Her Arms. To Write Love on Her Arms is a nonprofit movement dedicated to presenting hope and finding help for people struggling with depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicide. To Write Love on Her Arms exists to encourage, inform, inspire, and also to invest directly into treatment and recovery. So there's multiple ways to give. Baskets are being passed here in the room. You'll see on the screen you can donate directly from our website, fusmadison.org, and you'll see the text to give information there as well. We thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we create together.
After being at the 4:30 service yesterday, I feel kind of humble. The coming of age class, wise, touching, and amazement statements. Kelly AJ offered a short version of the coming of age program for some of us, and I began my exploration of I believe during that process. I believe in the interdependence of all, from a single blade of grass to the living and inanimate world and infinite unknowns of the universe. I believe in the importance of each of my actions, verbal and nonverbal. Letting go of judgment, I attempt to act with kindness and compassion when I relate to myself as well as others. And I accept that as I age and have health problems, what I'm able to do may seem less, and it's still important. I believe in the preciousness of each moment. I want to be present, not lost in feelings or thoughts, but rather in the sacredness of silence and meditation. I believe that each day I know less than before. Always new discoveries are possible. The concept of accepting I don't know, particularly in the next moment, is a relief. A poem from long ago, as we were flying in deep fog, nothing visible. The fog cleared, and the last line of the poem was, I want to go back to the pure, white truth of I don't know. I have a commitment to the health of this fragile and ailing planet. Each step that I make does matter. Simple things like turning on lights that are not being used, supporting green energy projects. Each little step matters. I believe it's important for me to continue to examine my own prejudices. It's a hard journey. And it's important to support and stand up to the prejudices in our society: race, gender, poverty, income inequality. The list is long. But just one action. I believe in democracy. The democracy of our country, which is quite fragile, in my opinion, right now. I believe in the democracy here at FUS. We support democracy by our actions, getting out the vote. You know, I can't go door to door anymore, but I can write cards to people encouraging them to vote. I believe in beauty that soothes the spirits and brightens the day. Brilliant snow sparkling on trees, music rising up, a painting that causes me to stop mesmerized. Believe in the preciousness and sanctity of all human and non-human life on earth. I believe that joy and sorrow are both held in my heart, and often it seems simultaneously. Like the day my husband died. He was out of pain, so there was joy that he was no longer suffering, but also great sadness. I believe in a spiritual life that includes curiosity, compassion, generosity, commitment, mystery, and wonder that's nourished within my spiritual communities, First Unitarian Society and meditation groups. Important to me is to support, as best I am able, these communities until my death, when my body will nourish the soil, not the soul, the soil. And I believe in the healing power of love. Those I have loved and lost live in my heart and nourish me.
I believe in the power and the value of community. Values-based communities have shaped my life from a young age. I was raised in a Unitarian Universalist congregation in the suburbs of Chicago. The children of Countryside Church helped me learn how to make friends, and the adults taught me I was worth listening to by asking me questions over bagels after service, or teaching my Sunday school classes, or offering their reactions to the belief statement I wrote as a 14-year-old going through coming of age. They all showed me what a powerful space community can be for asking questions, for learning how to be the person I want to be, and for forming the kinds of relationships that sustain us all through this life. As an adult, I've sought out new values-based communities to call my own. I've found these communities online, surrounding some of my favorite YouTube channels and podcasts, and in person. Of particular note, this community here at FUS, which I've been lucky to be a part of these last 8 years. One of the things I appreciate most about these communities is that they give me a space to practice living into my values. From one of my podcast communities, I learned the story of Le Chambon-sur-Lignon, a town in France that turned their oppression as a Protestant town in a Catholic country into a commitment to radical hospitality. Over the years, they practiced opening their doors to refugees and became known for that. When the events of World War II unfolded and French Jews were seeking asylum, they made their way to this town, and the town members did what they always did, what they were practiced at doing. They opened their doors. Because they practiced living into their values, this town was ready to act when the world needed them. While I hope we can prevent such dire situations in the first place, they highlight for me why it's important to practice, to build the muscles of welcome and showing up and compassion, so that over time, my capacity can grow to meet the world's need. A value I've been practicing recently is making meaning intentionally and collaboratively. Humans are meaning-making machines. We are constantly trying to make sense of our world and the things that happen in it. While some of our questions are answerable by empirical processes, there are many gaps we fill in with our more subjective meaning-making systems. I believe that while creating these meanings is inevitable, no given circumstance has an inherent meaning. I surely believe in the inherent value of every person and much in this vast universe beyond what we call persons. But I believe the meaning we make surrounding each of those beings and events is constructed. Ableism and homophobia come too easily to mind. I also think of times I've labeled myself as lazy or difficult or otherwise unworthy. Inevitably create meaning about our lives and the world around us, we may as well do so intentionally, in a way that lifts each other up and embraces our interconnected, embraces each of our inherent worth, because others' experience and perspectives widen our horizons. They show us possibilities we hadn't yet imagined and reveal blind spots we hadn't considered. I believe we need as many of us as possible to contribute our knowledge, curiosity. It is time to revisit an old piece of the collage and layer it anew.
Hi, I'm Nancy Kossoff. Children moved to Madison from Minneapolis. My beliefs over the years have certainly evolved. They have been shaped in no small part through the wisdom and community that I have found here at First Unitarian Society. Like most of us, I believe a lot of things about a lot of topics. For now, I'd like to share my current thinking on 3 topics: the existence of a higher power, what happens to us when we die, and how I can live constructively in this moment of time on earth. I believe in God, not the God of my childhood. I grew up in the United Methodist Church, and the God that I learned about then had form, probably white male, knew me personally. He listened to my prayers, judged my actions, forgave me, and willed what would and wouldn't happen in my life. Now, as an older adult, the God I envision is formless. It's a sacred power for good in the universe and among living beings here on earth. I sense this presence when something such as a starry night inspires awe and wonder. I feel it as I experience beauty, gratitude, and connection to others. I have felt it at some of my life's most intimate moments, such as the birth of our 3 children. To me, God is the creative force in the universe and the source of what is sacred here on earth. You may choose to call this God or something else or nothing at all, but I'm comfortable calling it God, at least for now. I do not believe in an afterlife, at least not in the usual sense. I think that when we die, our awareness dies as well. Our body becomes a part of the earth again, raw material for new life of all kinds. And that feels just fine to me. I believe deeply that while we are living, we must work harder on building bridges rather than walls among people. A rallying chant at Wisdom's recent Medicine Action Day was, "Everybody in, nobody out. Everybody in, nobody out." The meaning here was that people of all races, incarceration histories, ethnicities, income groups, gender identities, religious faiths, etc., must come together to promote a more just world. Our first UU principle, for now, is we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. This is easy to say, but hard for me to live at times. I think that in order to truly live this principle, I need to listen carefully to hear and consider the beliefs of others, and to try to understand the life experiences that have molded these beliefs. I may deeply disagree with another's views, yet there could be a kernel of truth in that other perspective that could lead to a bridge of understanding. And if I can't find it, I can continue to value the person or people, even while I reject the belief. I have failed at this often, yet I think it is essential for me and for others to keep trying in hopes of moving toward a more just, peaceful, and livable world. And finally, when we see hateful rhetoric and harmful action toward individuals or groups of people, I believe we are called to nonviolent protest and resistance. These are some of my beliefs, and I'm sticking to them, at least for now. Thanks for listening.
Hi, my name's Marilee Wertlake. I'd like to thank the Kellys for inviting us to participate today. Like many of you, I come to my UU faith from other traditions. My religious and spiritual influences include Seventh-day Adventism, Judaism, Zen Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, my mindfulness and yoga practices, and last but not least, Unitarian Universalism. I would include the names of naturalists, scientists, mystics, poets, and other artists, but it would simply take too much time. My immediate family consists of one humanistic mystic, one non-theist, 2 atheists, and 2 Muslims, making our dinner conversations quite lively at times. So before I tell you what I believe, I first want to share with you about an experience I had in this very room. I joined FUS in May 2011, so this year is my 12th anniversary here. I was sitting on the seats over there, and it was a beautiful sunny day. I remember looking out at everyone in the auditorium, and it suddenly felt like there was a shift in the room. The room felt lit up, and it felt like time slowed down. I felt a rush of emotion and a sense of being connected to everyone in the room, a sense of being at home, a sense of finding my spiritual home, and I felt a sense of belonging. The feeling was huge. It lasted a while, and I felt very at peace, very joyful. And then, like that, it was over, and everything went back to normal. Later, at the coffee hour, I was talking with an acquaintance, not someone I knew super well, but someone who I had been present with when unusual things seemed to happen. For lack of a better phrase, she is someone who might be said to be clairvoyant or to have ESP. Anyway, as we were chatting about nothing in particular, she said to me, "You looked beautiful today, sitting in the sun." And I said, "Oh, thank you," thinking she was commenting on my appearance and feeling a little embarrassed. And she said, "No," shaking her head as if I didn't understand. "No," she said, "I mean, your aura was huge." I felt stunned, so stunned that I don't know if I ever even answered her, because what she was saying was that she had witnessed a physical manifestation of this very emotional and spiritual experience I just had. How was that even possible? It blew my mind then, and it still does to this day. So I share the experience because it tells you something about how I feel about FUS and the people here, and because it and other related experiences I can't fully explain are some of what inform my beliefs. I can't tie things up in a neat, tidy, rational, this I believe statement for you. I will say that I believe in the 7 principles and the sources that inform our UU faith. I believe in contradictions. I believe that the world is filled with light and dark, that people are inherently good, but that evil also exists. I believe we have free will, but we have to consciously use our free will to stay in the light, to strive for goodness, to strive for equity and fairness, because we are also human. We can be selfish, we can be short-sighted, we can be mean, we can be evil, but we can also be love. I believe that much of the world can be understood through logic, rational thinking, and scientific inquiry. I most likely wouldn't be alive and speaking to you today without advances made through science. But I also believe that, like religion, science is a construct used to explain our existence. I believe that the world is full of mystery and phenomena that science has yet to explain, and I believe most likely will never be able to explain. I believe that our time on this earth is finite, and that in many ways humans, that is, are no more than ants on a log in the grand scheme of things, with the exception that humans can impact our environment more than ants. In fact, we may be too smart for our own good, in that we affect our environment to such a degree that we're destroying it. I believe that unless we can figure out how to check our behavior and our impact on this earth, we're going to make this world uninhabitable for humans and many other forms of life. I don't believe we go to a literal heaven. I wish that I did believe that, because it would be a great comfort. I don't believe I will be reincarnated. Again, I wish that I did. And yet, I look at the images of the universe, and I think about the energy of the millions and trillions of lives that have passed before us, and I wonder where all those souls, where all that energy goes. In many ways, my statement of belief is more of a plea to see our world for what it is. For I believe that the earth and the living beings on it are miracles. Everything I believe stems from that vantage point. If you listen to people who have been in space, or when you look at the images coming back from the Hubble and James Webb satellites, we can see thousands of light years away. Amazing images, and yet so far, there is no other planet like Earth. We are a single blue dot in space. What we don't seem to realize is that we're already in heaven. The earth is heaven. And we take it for granted until we can't, until now. Not taking things for granted. It's so easy to assume things will keep chugging along, things won't change until they do. We're lulled into thinking things will always be like this, that we'll always be here until we aren't, that the earth will always be here for us, will always provide until it doesn't. If that feels too big to contemplate, here's a closer example. Churches. Churches are institutions. They go on forever, right? Well, it seems like they do, but they don't necessarily. Churches ebb and flow. Churches can grow. Churches can wither. Churches can even die. We assume FUS will always be here. We assume others will step up. We assume others will help out. We assume others will do what we don't want to do until they don't. We assume so much. Ultimately, I believe that it is a miracle that you and I are alive here today together in this spiritual community on this life-giving planet. My plea to you, don't take any of it for granted. See our community as a miracle that it is. See our earth as a miracle that it is. Take action to protect our precious resources. I'm going to end with a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh's 2014 statement on climate change for the United Nations. This beautiful, bounteous, life-giving planet we call Earth has given birth to each one of us, and each one of us carries the Earth within every cell of our body. There's a revolution that needs to happen, and it starts from inside each of us. We need to wake up and fall in love with Earth. We've been Homo sapiens for a long time. Now it's time to become Homo conscious. Our love and admiration for the earth has the power to unite us and remove all boundaries, separation, and discrimination. Centuries of individualism and competition have brought about tremendous destruction and alienation. We need to reestablish true communication, true communion with ourselves, with the earth, and with one another as children of the same mother. We need more than new technology to protect the planet. We need real community and cooperation. Thank you.
For our last service during the regular program year, I asked the choirs to vote on their favorite anthems from the course of the year, and this is Society Choir's Sunday to sing those selections. Our prelude was from Water Communion, Shall We Gather by the River, and the offertory was from a collaboration that we did with the Reeb Choir back in October. Our postlude is I Dream a World, with the poem by Langston Hughes, which I believe very strongly was a major inspiration to Martin Luther King Jr. for his I Have a Dream speech. What we're going to sing now in German is from Galatians. The fruit of the Spirit is love.
Our deep thanks. Try again. Yeah. Our deep thanks to the choir for the gift of music this morning and to our speakers. It's no small thing to rise before your community and share deeply from your heart. So thank you for both your generosity and your courage in doing so. We gather each week carrying with us all the joys and losses, the celebrations and sorrows of our days. We bring them here knowing that they are held in care and in love. With a candle now of healing and hope for Kelly Crocker's father, Lou, who underwent extensive surgery on Friday for cancer. He remains in intensive care as he begins to recover. We send him our love and strength and hopes for continued healing in the days ahead. And our care and love to you as well. We also light a candle in celebration and observance of Mother's Day, a candle to celebrate all of the mamas among us and in our lives, to thank them for their generous gift and hard work, and also to acknowledge all the grief that is tied up for so many of us these days, the grief of the mothers who lack their children, the grief of the children who lack their mothers, and the grief of those who long to be mothers and yet are not. And we light a candle for our country and our world, for an end to violence, for all wars to end, For all who live in suffering from acts of violence and hatred, for all who are weary, we pray for peace for others, for ourselves, and for us all. And I invite you now to join me in an attitude of prayer and meditation with these words from Maureen Kaloran. Spirit of all blessing, be with us in the ordinariness of our days. May hope's light guard us and keep cynicism from our hearts. May the energy of laughter build endurance for the dark times of our lives. May creativity's vision grant the possibility of seeing old relationships with new eyes. May the oil of healing keep us from anger's hardness or despair. May the mantle of humility give courage to admit when we are wrong. May compassion's loom weave in us the discipline to forgive. May patience help us bear in mind that ours is not the only scale of time. May the flame of justice be a beacon for the choices we must make, and may peace be ever in us and sustain our stressful days. Spirit of all blessing, be with us in the ordinariness of our days. So be it. Blessed be. And amen.
There is love holding us. There is love holding all that we love. There is Now I invite you to rise in body and/or in spirit to sing our closing hymn together, number 102, We, the Heirs of Many Ages. We, the heirs of many ages, with all wise to guide our ways, honor all earth's seers and sages, build our temples for their praise. But our good we claim to cherish, all that Christ and Buddha taught. Unrepentant hearts let perish, spurning truth most dearly bought. Centuries of moral teaching, words of wisdom, ancient lore, all the prophets' souls beseeching, leaves us heedless as before. Late in time may we forsaking all our cruelty and scorn, see a new tomorrow breaking, and a kinder world be born.
Faith is not belief despite the evidence. It is adventure in scorn of consequence. Faith is not credulity in the face of occasional miracle. It is discerning the miraculous in the daily round. Faith is not blind confidence in the hereafter. It is the will to live in the here and now. Faith is not clinging to creedal assurance. It is grasping the uncertain with conviction. Faith is not confidence in salvation, which lies beyond. It is trust in the life which surrounds us here. Blessed be, go in peace, and please be seated for the postlude.
Thank you.
It's